Good evening and welcome to the Business Day. I'm Andrea Chisholm. Weeks before the Environmental Protection Levy takes effect, manufacturers are raising fresh concerns about the measure. They say the proposed changes could weaken the competitiveness of locally made goods and place a strain on Jamaica's productive sector. Deidre Thomas reports.
The concern follows the government's plan to increase the Environmental Protection Levy, a move expected to generate roughly $3.6 billion in revenue for the upcoming fiscal year. But Executive Director of the Jamaica Manufacturers and Exporters Association, Kamisha Blake, says while the JMEA understands the country's fiscal pressures, the proposed changes could have unintended consequences.
This particular tax is expected to raise $3.6 billion for the fiscal year. However, it was changed in two ways. One, the percentage of the tax being increased from 0.5 to 0.8%, but even more so where local manufactured goods, we usually enjoy a 75% base point for that tax implementation compared to imports that is 100%. However, the proposed change right now is that both locally manufactured goods and imports, the tax will be implemented on 100 base points.
According to Mrs. Blake, this effectively removes a key advantage that helps local producers compete in the domestic market. She argues that placing local manufacturers on the same tax footing as imports could make foreign goods more competitive in Jamaica.
Again, it's good that we can raise revenue. However, raising the revenue from this point to make our locally manufactured goods less competitive compared to imports, that's a bad thing for our economy, because at the end of the day, manufacturers, we create jobs. We have to have that multiply effect within the economy. So to make imported goods more competitive, it will, at the end of the day, cause manufacturers now to be looking elsewhere.
The organization is urging the government to focus on widening the tax net rather than increasing the burden on businesses already complying with the system.
Manufacturing continues to be very robust. We are seeing the number of jobs growing from 75,000 up to high as 95,000 last year. We have invested over $100 billion in this economy over the past 5 years. And the level of confidence, we have not seen that in a number of years. And that is something very critical for the government to consider. It can't be where we're investing so much, but yet there's little consideration. Something else we have to think about is the fact that it is our domestic market that continues to invest. Unlike other sectors, that is international investors that are coming in and you're incentivizing them to come into Jamaica. The local manufacturing is what continues to be dominant here.
Meanwhile, speaking at a press briefing recently, Minister of Environment Matthew Samuda says that the proposed increase will bring it in line with regional averages while helping the country recover from the devastating impacts of Hurricane Melissa. He said the primary objective of the Environmental Protection Levy is to mitigate environmental degradation and bolster climate resilience, particularly for Jamaica's vulnerable island ecosystems. Deidre Thomas, TVJ News.
Meanwhile, the parliamentary opposition is reiterating calls for a portion of the environmental levy to go towards protecting the environment. The opposition spokesman on finance was making his contribution to the budget debate earlier today.
We have a levy collecting money in the name of the environment, but it is not dedicated to the protection of the environment. It's simply another revenue source. And as with the sugary drinks tax, it's not the importer or the manufacturer who is the one who will ultimately pay the price. The cost will get passed ultimately down to the consumer with no corresponding benefit to the environment.
Julian Robinson adds that the plan to collect $10 billion from the special consumption tax on sugary drinks is a clear indication that the government does not expect consumption to decline.
The government can mandate local manufacturers and importers to reformulate their products so that sugar content is reduced in those products and provide a time frame by which those manufacturers and importers do so. because it will obviously require some time to reformulate their what they produce. This would reduce the amount of sugar people consume.
To the stock market now, the JSE index advanced by 1,864 points today, while the junior market index advanced by 8 points. The winners were led by Sagicor Real Estate X Fund, Medical Disposables and Supplies, Mayberry Group, Productive Business Solutions US dollar shares, and Future Energy Source Company. The losers include KLE Group, Main Event Entertainment Group, Sterling Investments US dollar shares, Pulse Investments, and JMMB Group 7.35% cumulative redeemable preference shares. 25 stocks traded firm. Foreign exchange trading ended with banks and cambios selling the US dollar for an average $157.94. The Canadian dollar is being sold for $116.11. The pound is going for $209.80, while the euro is selling for an average $184.13. And that's it for the Business Day. I'm Andrea Chisholm. Good evening.